In this pest management space, AI can mitigate things like maybe liability risks in compliance and processing time. How can it do those things?
Yeah, so like when it comes to compliance, there's very pertinent information that all advisors and growers need to adhere to on a label, but not all that information is necessarily like situationally relevant at any point in time. So using AI to summarize and curate and bring to the forefront the key elements of the label that are actually relevant based on what's going on or like what's currently going on to a recommendation, that's paramount. Um, there are also other program considerations for like export markets and other environmental initiatives that aren't necessarily on a label per se. And some of these, their guidelines are regularly changing. So leveraging AI to keep a summarized program compliance content like up to date and delivering that beside label content in a standardized way is one way that advisors and growers can mitigate their liabilities through leveraging AI. When it comes to processing times, I mean, the general vision of AI that you hear out there right now is like, ask it a question, what should I do? And it's going to give you the solution.
Yeah.
There's so many nuances and like innate understandings of an operation that are sort of held within an advisor's historical knowledge or intuition. They take all of this into account when they're making decisions. And this information isn't necessarily codifiable or isn't really available for models to be trained on. So where AI can make an impact in these cases is processing and summarizing that tidal wave of information that is available. So these are some of the things I would consider like a menial task, like reading a graph. So we can use that. We can sort of minimize the time they're spent doing things like reading graphs and really leaving advisors and growers to that high value task of defining their strategies based on the information that's being summarized by the AI.
And so you specialize, Jordan, in digital pest management and artificial intelligence implementation in the field for pests. So I'm just curious, if we could even get more specific here, some of the maybe success stories you've seen working in the field, maybe something you recall of a consultant or a grower using artificial intelligence and creating an improved pest management landscape, maybe for their grower.
Yeah, so I think I mean one of the cool sort of situations that I'd come across was probably about 5 years ago now. In one of our markets, there's a species of pest that was believed not to necessarily be established there yet. They saw ones or twosies, but it wasn't really something that people should be worried about. Our image processing algorithm was actually able to count that pest commercially in another region. And so one season, our algorithm started to pick up this unexpected pest as non-target bycatch in the traps in that region. And what we were seeing was it started to show up in a lot more places than we were expecting. And we were pretty instantaneously through using the image processing algorithm. It would have taken us months for a human to go through to count all those traps. We could go through it pretty quickly. And we're able to actually establish through all the historical images and their locations sort of a year-to-year look at the uptick in detections of the pests on the landscape level. And this enabled us to start informing regional extension, educating our network on the presence of this pest. So I'd like to believe that we help many people be proactive and start monitoring and managing this pest before running into that situation where they have that catastrophic year of unexplained damage before looking deeper. So that was sort of like a cool sort of look back effect. But more recently, from our Gen AI development perspective, we've had the opportunity to work with a lot more growers and advisor groups now. And it's been really gratifying to see the excitement and willingness to engage. And we're starting to see that accessibility and that compliance support is really starting to incrementally snowball. And what I mean by that is when we talk about saving time summarizing data, if you picture an advisor, if you can save them 2 minutes processing or summarizing a trap catch report, and you do that across 10 properties weekly, over the span of a season, that saves them 11 hours. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, that's 11 hours. Sure, they could be walking a field and spending more time doing monitoring, but I mean, that's also 11 more hours that they could be spending time with their family and recharging and being a more effective person when they're on the clock. So as we move forward, I'm really optimistic that we'll continue to see these types of successes. And this is sort of the one thing I think together we should be striving to become a reality in our industry at scale.